Not at all. I will simply reference Think and Grow Rich. When was that book written? 1920s. How many how many megastars right now are referencing Think and Go Rich?
Right.
All of them. All of them. And that book was written forever ago. I mean, look at podcasts. That's brilliant. They're evergreen content. And you're learning stuff that you don't have to repeat, right? I
No.
mean, they figured it out in 1819. Now that's pre-COVID. COVID was a car accident. Comes right down to it socially. At
Yeah.
least it was for me. Like I'm speaking socially. Oh God, did I hate COVID? Hated COVID times. Hated everything to do with it. Was just mad all the time, which oddly rolls into triggers of where we were talking about. But to that to that end, man, you were in a different place, you're in a different time, you're in a different thought process. To go back and reread a book, re-listen to a podcast, you're going to pick something up. And I love the fact you're using it as mini motivation sessions. I think that's brilliant. Like right
That's
now, I'm going to steal it and I'm going to coin it. I'm doing the same thing, but I was making the excuse that that's the extent of the attention span I have right now. I got 5 minutes of attention span. I'm going to grab this thing instead of calling it a mini motivation session. Like it's focused on abundance thinking versus there it was in scarcity thinking. So,
yeah.
so thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome. So I'm careful not to tangent because I have a big problem. I go down rabbit holes and I leave the mini
Uh-huh.
moment and suck up productivity. But
Yeah, welcome to the group. We air on Sundays at 12:30, I think.
yeah, I know, I get it. So with these mini motivation sessions, I find that it's really cool. It could be 10 minutes, it could be 5. I try to crush as much content. I try to listen to words. And I thought of a cool thing because you and I are writing our new book. And as I'm listening to Richard Branson, maybe I'm giving too much information away, right? But if I'm interpreting the formula for writing a book, not every book, but most books, right? Like you get a story, then you talk a little bit about something about it, and then you move to another story that's somebody else's story, and then you talk a little bit about a topic. So in other words, some of these chapters in the book are him telling a story, then it's a blurb and a transition, another story that's about someone else that's relevant to the topic. And it seems like it's this sort of this EKG monitor from story to story, which maybe it's a period in time that book, I don't even know when that book was written. I wish we had somebody that I could go, hey, person, look that up. Maybe 06, I don't know. But he originally wrote the book. He was originally asked to write that book for people that are non-readers to make it an easy read. It did so well that whoever they are went back and asked him, hey, can you do this again with some more in-depth examples and insights? And he was talking, screw it, let's do it. It was about empowering his employees, empowering everybody at Virgin. At the time, it was like 50,000 people worked for the guy, I think, or something crazy like that. And whoever's got the ideas, come on, bring them. Let's go. Let's respect. He said people don't leave jobs because of pay usually. They leave jobs because of respect. And this is just excerpts from the book. And again, I'm not saying that's his philosophy today. I don't know the man, but it to me made sense. And then the formula he was sort of using made sense as well. So I'm like, wow, man, maybe this does really work. The stories land and they help me. They help me remember part of the book. Because not only stories are entertaining, stories probably act as mental anchors to help people remember your points. I'm not saying this is an absolute, but you know what?
A segment of the population, right? A segment of the population, that's how they learn. So, I mean, in this, yes, our last book that we wrote, we followed a specific model and it spoke to a specific audience. We're going a little bit different model with this one, which is not unlike a Richard Branson book, not unlike a Mark Victor Hansen book. That's a model he did. There's a couple other authors that have done this as well. Who wrote, I can't remember the name, everybody will criticize me this, seven levels of communication. We're following a little bit of that model too. So it's a model. Like when you think about, and here's the other thing I'll tell everybody, if you think writing a book is too hard, too bad. Do it anyway. Like, write the book. Write the book. I got challenged a couple years ago to write my first one by Dr. Emily Letran. Like I told her, and I think she's written like 15 books at this point. But she challenged me to write my first book, and now we're in number 4 now. Within not quite 2 years. This is number 4. You and I have written one other together. We've written this one together. So yes. Is it difficult? Is it challenging? Yeah. Is it rewarding? Yeah. Did you get to share your message? Yeah. There's way more benefit than the work involved in doing it. So, get in there and do it. And here's the other thing where Mike's talking about, you're not going to reach every single person. Like, not everybody loved Harry Potter. Not everybody loved it. And not everybody loves The Matrix. Not everybody loves Jim Shockey's book. So you're not going to reach everybody, but you're going to reach your audience, and you're going to touch somebody. And 15 years from now, somebody's going to look back and say, hey, I was reading Mike's book, and I looked back at it again, and I didn't read it this way the first time. And they're going to get a different message from it.
Well, sometimes you don't have to have an audience. Sometimes you just want to get your stuff out there and say, okay,
so you grow an audience.
I grow an audience, or just put your crap out there. And I wonder how Dr. Letran is doing. I have not heard a peep from her.
She is traveling like crazy. Right now she's working on, she finished up her movie that she was an investor and producer in she did have a small part in it that she was there. She's in, which is hilarious. I shouldn't have said it that way. There's no small people, there's only whatever that saying was. But Emily, she was in the movie. Right now she's working on the International Film Festival, and she is doing Vietnam Journal for the Los Angeles Tribune. So busy as all get out as always. And somewhere in there, she's still a dentist and a doctor and does all the things. I don't know that she actually does sleep. I'm not convinced that she does.
Yeah. Well, I've called her before, and she's like, I'm still seeing patients. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm. She loves it.
Like, what are you talking about? Patients. I'm a fan. Oh, by the way, so COVID, real quick, let's read back to that. COVID changed my life in a way for the better. It changed my life in 2 ways, right? One way was positive, one way was negative. I was working heavily out of my home area, and I was working down in my DC offices way too much. And COVID allowed me to be around my kids more, and COVID allowed me to watch them grow up, right? So I shifted from a mainly in-person business to a virtual business. Now it's kind of shifting back on purpose, but it's been a game changer. And I mean, listen, and then it got me deeper into the coaching world. And, listen, there's some people I have worked with for a long time that I've never met in person. It's wild. I've never seen them in the flesh. And in that element, it made some things okay. But that opened up a new chapter. Talk about your audience. You have to be good at doing that, and your audience has to want that, right? And I feel like it's not for everybody, and I don't care. I'm not trying to work with everybody. Neither are you. So the other side of COVID was the whole medical side jacked me up for a long time. And then that's still 6 years later, 7 years later, dealing with it, unearthing some things and just kind of piecing life back together bit by bit. So, I don't make excuses. I just move forward. But still, COVID in and of itself was a blessing and a curse. I think
that's fair.
And plus some of the information we're getting right now about some of the things, I guess everybody was making the best decisions because that's what I have to believe. I'm not going to take sides because that's weird. It's polaric and it's great, but for this circumstance, I have to believe from an agenda perspective, people were making the best decisions with the information they had possible. And
that's fair.
I think.
Well, and you said it correctly. That's what you have to believe. It's what you're choosing to believe in order to not run down the rabbit hole. Same thing for me. Are there things during COVID that occurred I wish I wouldn't have done? Sure, of course there is. But I can use that as any circumstance in my entire life. I can look back and go, well, this year this happened. Sure wish I wouldn't have done that. And there's residual health or financial or business or mental, that occurs.
Totally.
So yes,
Totally.
we're using COVID. I think we kind of use it as a marker, really, just in our generation, as
Yeah.
it's a major event. It's not unlike, and this is going to sound weird, and you guys can jump in there and say it. I'm just using this as a reference. Like 9/11 is a marker, right? It's a point in space. It's a